Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This video is going to be doing my first review for Game of Thrones Season 3. This one will be for the premiere, Episode 1, which is called Valar Dohaeris. Alright, so riding high after the end of Season 2, of course, with the battle at Blackwater. We are sort of just kind of recovering and dealing with everything, how it stands after that. That pretty much, I would say, at least from Season 2 onward, with, after the whole Ned Stark saga, let's say, I'd say probably the battle at Blackwater might be the climax of the series so far. And of the books, too, probably. Even though there's some great stuff coming up still. But in terms of what we've seen in the show so far, that, I would say, is the climax. Now, the episode after it, kind of dealing with the immediate aftermath, everything with Tyrion and everything that's happening. And then, of course, setting up the White Walkers beyond the wall with their march towards the wall. And Sam, we start this episode off with Sam sort of being chased by a White Walker or just kind of wandering through the snow. And then we see a Walker zombie come after him. And Lord Commander Mormont burns it. I don't know how you keep a flame in that kind of cold, but whatever. It works. Whatever. It was cool. And then going on from there, that's basically what we see from there. Jon Snow meets, we see a giant. First giant we've seen in Game of Thrones, which was pretty cool. The CG looked pretty good. It looked, it was passable. It looked pretty good quality. Something you'd see in a movie similar. So definitely with the HBO budget, looked pretty good, I would say, overall. Meets Mance Rayder and essentially joins the wildlings, so to speak, the King Beyond the Wall. I thought that scene was pretty cool. Just, straight out of the books, what you would expect. In terms of the acting, everything was pretty solid. The only thing that was a little weird about it was sort of like how Jon Snow, he's just like, I'm going to switch sides. I'm going to join your side because I want to fight for the side that fights for the living. It's like, it's a little weak. It's like, really, you're going to switch sides just for that? Whatever. Well, we'll let it slide because he's got to anyway. So he's captured. He's got no choice. He can't just I mean, no matter what, I thought he was going to talk a little bit about, because Mance Rayder knows Ned, so his father, so maybe talk a little bit about that and say that he's not loyal to them because of what they did to his father, and he wants justice for his father at some point. And if he just stays on the wall, he's not going to be able to do it. But maybe if he stays with Mance and he helps him out or whatever, he fights alongside him. If he ever does march south, then he can have his chance at vengeance. That sounds a lot more convincing than I just want to fight for the side of the living. I think, anyway, in my opinion. So, kind of a knock at the plot there for that, I would say. Moving on from there, so we got to meet Mance Rayder. That was cool. And then we have Bronn in a brothel, which was kind of funny when Pod interrupted him. He said, "I will murder you." And then finally we get to see Tyrion again. So Tyrion meets with Cersei, and then finally Tyrion meets with Tywin. I mean, it was okay. Tywin's scene and everything. Charles Dance, obviously, great actor. But at this point, he kind of comes off as like too much of an asshole. Like even more than you'd think that he logically would be. Because if you think of it, he did initially want to save Tyrion initially. And now, after everything that's happened, just because he brought a whore with him, I mean, it's not great. But is it really something where it's like, he's going to treat him again like he's dirt? I mean, we kind of got that hint earlier on the series that he kind of did, but he did want to, name him Hand of the King while he was busy and everything. So, I mean, it's just a little bit of a, I don't know. I guess it was okay, but I kind of felt like he's being a little bit harsh on him, overly. The whole comment about his wife and Tyrion, his mother, and all that. It was just a little overboard, I think. I don't know if Tywin would really, I don't know, it felt a little out of character. Because he is, we do know him to be a cruel asshole, for sure. But he's kind of being even more than I would have thought. Just wants really nothing to do with him. We get to see Stannis and Sir Davos again, which was cool, him getting back. Maybe one of the more exciting parts of the episode was when Sir Davos pulled the dagger, tried to kill Melisandre, and of course didn't work, and they throw him in the dungeon. It is kind of his fault, though, because he did talk Stannis out of bringing her with him. So, you got to think it too. The pirate beforehand trying to talk him out of it. Him going back anyway is kind of stupid because he's going to end up in the dungeon or worse anyway. Even if he just shows up and didn't really say anything, Stannis is still going to blame him for what he, for the whole situation. He's going to blame somebody, burn him or whatever. Not much happens with Robb Stark. We just get to touch on that real quick, see where he's at, and then, of course, that he's keeping his mom under lock and key for the most part. We don't see any of Arya or Jaime Lannister at this point, and Brienne with him, of course. Let's see. Then, of course, Lord Baelish talking to Sansa. The Daenerys scenes were pretty cool. The dragons meeting those 8,000 mercenaries that she possibly could hire. The ship, the dragons were cool in the ship, looked good. And then, of course, the scene at the end was pretty good, I'd like to say, with the Warlocks and the Scorpion. Pretty exciting. Her new Queen's Guard, I guess you could say, the guy that was the Robert Baratheon's King's Guard, I forget his name exactly. Definitely going to be interesting to see if he can, get to see him cut some people up. Be fun. Defend her and everything. So she's starting to become more powerful. We'll see within the next couple of seasons when she finally, goes for it. If it isn't this season, I forget exactly when that occurs and how they're separating it up. So there's that, and I mean that's pretty much it. I mean the episode was for a premiere was pretty. Light, I would say. Pretty light. I mean, the pacing was slow. There was not a lot of action. Let's see. One other thing I forgot was Lady Marjorie with the orphan kids, giving them a motivational speaking. It was pretty good. I mean, whatever. Cersei doesn't like her, obviously, at this point. But, I mean, there's a lot of little things getting started, a lot of, different plot lines starting up again. In terms of which ones I'm most interested in right now, probably Jon Snow's. Stannis, to see how he regroups, recovers, and then makes another stab at it. And with Tywin, even though he's been pretty ridiculously cruel to Tyrion, kind of without reason, a little bit overboard there, I think. But, I mean, in terms of action, there wasn't a lot. In this episode, it was a pretty slow premiere. Usually with a premiere like last season's, you're going to want to have at least one fight or at least something happen. I was hoping Bronn might try to take out those two Queen's Guard or King's Guard. Not, I mean, it was just an okay episode for me. It was an okay premiere. It wasn't fantastic. It wasn't mind-blowing. It was just okay. If I had to rate it out of 10, I'd probably give it, to be honest with you, the lowest rating I've given any episode of Game of Thrones so far. Probably a 6, to be honest with you. I even thought about going lower than that, but, visually, it is still stunning. Everything, looks really good. The acting is right on point. But just really slow. Not a lot of things happening. Some good development, but just really slow and definitely could use some more action or some more things happening. So I didn't hate it, but one of the big things is that a lot of the characters we really like Tyrion at this moment, one of my favorite characters, really isn't doing anything. He has nothing to do right now. He's not doing anything, so that's kind of boring. Jon Snow, kind of interesting. Stannis, interesting. Davos, interesting. Daenerys, interesting. But the rest, there's no war, there's nothing going on like that starting yet. Soon we'll see a lot of that probably start up. And then, of course, the White Walkers. But aside from that, there really wasn't much else happening here. I mean, just things starting off to build for the season. But I hope the pacing picks up in Season 3. I hope it's not like this all the way through, because they did split the book into 2 seasons. It's going to be Season 3 and Season 4 for Storm of Swords. So, I am a little bit worried about the pacing of the show. Is the rest of Season 3 going to be like this, where everything is really slow and it's it just builds, but then, we don't really see a whole lot of action and things like that, because I'd love to see a good sword fight here and there. Maybe not every episode, but at least, here and there, almost every episode. So, overall, for me, this premiere was just okay. It wasn't fantastic. It wasn't absolutely dreadful. It was kind of bland. It was just okay. So that's pretty much all I got to say. I mean, I don't really have much else to say about the episode. It didn't really grip me too much or make me, really get into it or anything like that. I just thought it was okay. So for this episode, it gets a 6 out of 10 for me. Anyway, let me know what you guys thought about the premiere and what you're thinking for Season 3, Season 4 Game of Thrones. Do you think it's going to pick up? I certainly hope it does. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'll call it here. That's it for this video, guys. We'll see you for the next one. This is Trev, and I'm saying peace.